You're listening to the Full 10 Yards of Britball podcast with your host, Timothy Lambert-Monk. Yes, welcome in, one and all. This is the Full 10 Yards Britball podcast. Week 5 is in the headlights. It's on the horizon, and we are steamrolling straight through it. Not all teams are, unfortunately. We did say goodbye to Halton Spartans this week, who have withdrawn from the division. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be the last, to be quite honest. It is what it is, and this is what the season. Yeah, this is 2021, folks. So, as you can see to my right, we have a very special guest joining us today to run through the games that will be participating in week 5, shall we say. And I mean, it's really nice. And one benefit of social media is that you interact with someone for a little while and you think, oh, do you know what? Let's have a conversation with them. So I've by no coincidence, I've got the new offensive coordinator for the Sandwell Steelers, Mr. Coach David Butler. David's a very warm Full 10 Yards welcome to you, my friend. And like I say, I've been wanting to get you on for weeks. And I say, is it just a coincidence that I get you on the week you've joined Sandwell?
A good coincidence, bro. I appreciate you having me on, and I'm always glad to grow our game and talk about our game. So, I'm happy to do what I can when I can.
No, absolutely. I say it's nice to exchange tweets over social media of highlights and all the rest of it as well. It's I say one of the nice guys that I see on my timeline. So yeah, I appreciate you for that. I suppose we have to start off with you yourself, obviously appointed this week as OC at Sandwell, but obviously you've had dealings with Sandwell in the past. So give us a quick gloss over of how you got into the sport, how you got into coaching, and kind of the ins and outs of the indoor and the outdoor of the Sandwell Steelers.
Sure. I got into coaching late 2009 via Shops Revolution, actually. The Rev was the first team that I actually joined. I was actually looking to get involved with a certain offense, which was the air raid offense. And Coach Dave Reed at the Revolution was the only guy that I knew anywhere near where we lived that ran it. So I contacted him, and he was come over. So I went over. I spent the first few months just watching and learning. And then in 2010, I went full on into the coaching staff as an assistant, then 11 positional coaching, and through there up into offensive coordinator in 2013. I then left the Rev in 2013, midway through the season. Well, with one game to go, and there was in almost the exact same positioning. Is that in 2014, Sandwell fired their head coach after 2 games, and I was asked to come on board in that situation along with Coach J. Alexander, which we did, and we helped build that in the initial first stages of the Sandwell Steelers. So we went on a good run from 14, 15, 16, and 17, and then they finished that push in 19. So they've had a good run, so to speak. So that transition, that first period of the Sandwell Steelers era has been good, and they've had a lot of success from that. So that's pretty much my coaching tree, my coaching journey so far. I spent 2019 in a sabbatical, took a year off, and then 2019 I joined the Rev again because Neil Housekeeping was one of my best friends. He was head coach, asked me to come along, which I did, and we all stepped away during COVID because of the COVID thing with family and stuff and Aldens. We didn't want any part of that, so we all stepped away, and that's where I've been. I had no plans to return to coaching this year until, of course, there's been another coaching saga at Sandwell, and then Coach Andrew asked me to come on board, and here I am.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd say Sandwell aren't alone in the fact that COVID has absolutely ripped apart Britball and teams that were on an upward trajectory like Halton were in 2019. Just absolute soul. Well, I don't want to say soul ripped out of them, but you know what I'm trying to say is that they halted that upward trajectory, because I was really looking forward to seeing Halton this year, and let's say going down to Inverclyde in the kind of the Div 2 finals, wasn't it? Was it Div 2? Yeah, it was in 2019, and just unfortunate, obviously, the way that's kind of gone. But talking about the 2021 season, and we'll get to week 5 shortly when you guys you're putting your wits against Tamworth. But your thoughts and opinions on kind of how the season has been aligned and how it's kind of played out. Obviously, we could spend hours on certain divisions and teams and whatnot. But do you think first and foremost that the divisional alignment where you've got Prem teams mixed with Div 2 teams is right, and do you has it played out how you thought it was through as we head into week 5?
I think it's played out exactly how a lot of us imagined it would. I know I was definitely with the crowd that was against the Div 2 teams playing against the Premiership teams, just because of of exactly what's happened in terms of if they actually turn up and play, they're going to be bullied and then end up with 15, 16 injuries, and they can't fulfil the fixtures from that period on. And then obviously the other issues along with that are which I've come to realise in the last 8 days or 6 days since I've been here, is the COVID regulations and stuff are real, and the pandemic is real. And we got guys up missing left, right, and centre for this weekend, and it's like as an outsider, when you're not involved in it, we're sitting here like I was with you a few weeks ago watching your stream, and I hear you talking about it, and you're like, oh, so and so is missing. But the reality is that this pandemic is real, and people are missing. So it's gone exactly what I expected it to. I don't think that you can ask the Premiership teams to take the foot off the gas too much, because they pay to play too, right? And then even if they get their depth, and their depth's probably better than most Div 2 teams and the lower Div 1 teams anyway. So what can you possibly do? I think that the one team for a season was too much for me. I think that we should have taken it off and maybe just arranged friendlies. I don't know why we needed to have this season, whether it was just for the sake of it or whatever, but they felt the need, and whatever Baffer did was going to be wrong no matter what happened. So
yeah.
One of those things where hindsight, you wouldn't do it, but it is what it is. And for the most part, I feel teams and players want to play, so they're going to go and play.
Yeah, well, I mean, it says it all that you've got teams like the Solent Thrashers ringing up the Olympians, and like this weekend you've got a scrimmage between the Vikings and the Titans. So, I mean, that pretty much says all you need to know. But talking of the first 4 weeks, obviously, you keep a keen eye over the Britball world. Any particular team that has caught your eye? Obviously, there are some teams that have thrived. We've got an interview coming up with next week with the Darlington Steam head coach Darren Mitchell, and he's saying how they've thrived, and say their numbers are great, and they're kind of going from strength to strength. Obviously, that's not going to be the case for every team, but any particular team that's caught your eye, either surprised you, good or bad? Obviously, the ones that are still with us, anyway.
Yeah, I think most people will share to Kent. I think they've done an exceptional job.
Yeah, I agree.
Player-wise and coach-wise, I think that they're the guys that have shown the most brightly. Even though they've not won a game yet, but just the
in close. Yeah.
And as always, I think Manchester Titans are head and shoulders above everybody else as an organisation in this country, by far.
Yeah.
So those two for me are the shining lights. I don't really want to single anybody out in terms of who's been poor, because every team is different, and like I said, like we'll be going into Saturday's game with a bunch of rookies and a bunch of first-year guys, and we are 2 or 3 injuries away from being in those same positions that everybody else is. So I would never tarnish anybody's reputation or team reputation, because we are all literally 2 injuries away from folding for the year. So it's some circumstances. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I flashed through week 4 scorelines up, and I think, let's say, I'm not speaking out of turn, but I think quite a lot of people, certainly in all the Facebook groups I'm in that cover Britball, and I think the Torbay Trojans have been a team. Obviously, again, I don't know. I'm not in that part of the country. I don't really know what goes on behind the scenes in Torbay, but I think quite a lot of them were expecting, quite a lot of people were expecting Torbay to be, as equal as they were kind of back in 2018, 2019. And so them to lose, I think was it 3 games now. I think that was maybe a surprise. But yeah, like I say, Sussex Thunder, they've struggled with numbers, and like you say, Coach, it's if you've struggled with numbers, you're struggling to put points on the board. But yeah, I echo your sentiments around Kent. I tell you what, a team I am excited to see, not this year but next year as well, is Nottingham Caesars. I think they've got a good little thing going there from what I've seen and heard, and obviously the results, obviously the winning games. So at the end of the day,
I mean, again with Nottingham, and I've got a lot of time for Grant up there. He's a good lad. It's also, of course, the level of opponent too. They're playing a lot of weaker opponents, so they always going to look good. They'll be judged next year when they get back into Div 1 when they're playing the Rev. And that's where they'll be judged more harshly. In terms of Torbay, I don't know much about Torbay, but I know there's always a power struggle between them and Cornwall, and I think the players flip flop all the time. So there's 1 year Torbay strong, and the next year Cornwall strong. So there always seems to be a flip flop down there. When I've been on holiday down that way, and I've seen talk about practicing. The numbers have been good, and they've always looked pretty half decent whenever I've seen them. But I've never seen them play games, so I would hold judgment on that. But they look like a half decent crew. So again, the problem with us is we're all regionalised, right? I can talk about the Midlands teams, but I can't tell you much about guys down south, and they can't tell you much about us. So a lot of it's guesswork in it, and I hate to do that guesswork stuff. So it's always that we give people the benefit of the doubt, because at the end of the day, it's never black and white, is it?
No, and I think the epitome of that, I think, was week one when we saw the Leicester Falcons go up against Tamworth, and we saw who the hell is this quarterback and wide receiver combination that we've seen. We've not seen him since.
No, but we knew who he was. We knew way before then.
Okay.
We heard, and I saw a film on him way before they played against. So Tamworth would have known who he was. So,
yeah. Oh no, but to the casual viewer like me who doesn't
casual
know,
viewer,
yeah.
We had seen and heard of he was there, and his ability, which he's a very good quarterback, which obviously will face him. So we've not gained anything off of it. But it's one of the things. But at the end of the day, Leicester have always had American guys. I've always in 17 when we played them, they had American guys. They had quite a few, and they were always good. And I enjoyed those matchups because it makes you better. You want to play the best, right? So it makes you better.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? I'm going to blow my own trumpet for a little bit. I'm going to put week 4 back on there, because anyone that follows anyone that follows my predictions, I got 14 out of 16 right last week. So whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I was ever going to be expected to get a tie. Although, to Stallions and Blitz, if you're going to pick a tie out of that group from week 4, that would have been one of the ones higher up on the list. But as you see, obviously a couple of postpones there at the bottom, and obviously the Leeds and Sheffield was downgraded to a scrimmage. But David, let's take a look at week 5. Obviously, you guys are on a Saturday. Is there any particular reason why it's Saturday this week?
As far as I'm aware, because I keep saying it's on a Sunday, but as far as I'm aware, it's because Tamworth have the venue on a Saturday, not a Sunday. So that's all.
Okay, so it wasn't the case that they wanted to give you one less day to try and prepare for them.
They don't need any help because of me, dude. They're a top organisation, dude.
No, absolutely.
And Jason runs a tight ship. They're not worried about me one iota.
No, that's fine. So that would be good. To be good, be a baptism of fire. That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see. Obviously, in the middle there, you've got the Warriors and the Exiles and the Blitz and the Olympians. Obviously, in the London division, they've not actually really, apart from the Blitz and the Exile playing a couple of games, that's not really been many 2 fixtures in there. But it's good to see Warriors and the Olympians back on the fixture list. Hopefully, again, nothing bad happens between now and Sunday. Any particular fixture that you like off the top of there that you can see in front of your screen?
A couple that I do like that. I'm looking forward. I am looking forward to the London Olympians against the London Blitz. I'll coach Murray down at the O's, and good group of men. Again, they're in the same situation we are right now. They've got a lot of young guys, and they're learning coming through. They've lost a lot of guys to the Exiles and stuff. So they're in a position where they're going to be fighting. And I've always been a fan of the Blitz, so that's definitely one of the games that's on my radar. And also, we're all eager to see what the Warriors are going to be like, and how improved are the Kent Exiles, because this is going to be their real litmus test, right? Like, how do you cope against the Warriors? Because we just know how good the Warriors are in real life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let's say for people that are listening, we'll just quickly run through the Mavericks at Thunderbolts, Aztecs at the Bulls, Falcons, Railroaders, Stampedes, Storm, Sabres, and the Spartans in the Essex Bowl. And a couple of fixtures that were played last week. You got the Hornets and the Cheetahs, and the Revolution and Surge as well. They played last week. And like I say, Warriors, Exiles, Blitz, and the Olympians. Wolverines face the Miners. That could be a bit one-sided. That one, judging off what Lancashire did last week against Halton. But we'll obviously good luck to Lee. Gladiators, Colchester play Ouse Valley Eagles. That could be a close one. The Bournemouth Bobcats against Sussex is an interesting one. I fancy the Bobcats to win that one, and the Withens against the struggling Trojans this year. And then the South Wales Warriors get their year underway as they travel to a sheer, and then the Oxford Saints against the Wembley Stallions team have probably been one of the more impressive teams this season from what I've seen. I've seen bits of them, but they've really a team that have stood out to me. What do you make, David, of kind of some of these teams that or some of these games that have been obviously cancelled, forfeited, or downgraded to scrimmages? How do you obviously, what's your thoughts on how that's obviously teams are different in how they've gone about it, and obviously, what was the one this week? Is it the Apache and the Raptors that has kind of been a bit of a debacle this week, and they've not covered themselves in any glory. Your thoughts on kind of how it's been managed? Teams essentially just picking and choosing if they want to play or not.
They're picking and choosing, right? I mean, for a lot of the guys, like you can understand it in certain areas or after certain games, because let's just say I can give ourselves an example. Let's say we pick up 4 injuries on Saturday. That rematch next week may be in doubt then, and that's right. So if you got injuries and they're legitimately a concern, or you got 10 guys off because of the pinging of the phones, you can't control that. So and those are for me, which is a new thing really. I've not been around it, but that's a real thing. You see, but you don't really concern yourself with it until you're about it. But the issue is like the Raptors, they win a game and then they don't want to play the next game because they don't want to get beat by a better team, and it's tough to swallow, isn't it? When those guys are paying their money, they're ready to take a turn. So I don't hate on anybody who doesn't want to play the game. I get it. I get when the lesser teams don't want to play the big teams because matchup wise, it's not a good matchup. You feel that it's never going to end well, and in terms of not just results wise, but injuries. And if you take a lot of injuries in one game, you could miss 3 or 4 games down the road because of that playing that one game. So I get it, but I'm not a fan of picking and choosing when you play. They're either going to be all in or out. So I have a lot of respect for the guys like Halton and the teams like Portsmouth, except before who pulled out before because they weren't sure whether they could do it. I have respect for it because it takes a lot. Because at the end of the day, we all want to watch it, and when we're involved, we all want to coach it, we all want to play it. So to have that thing where you know what we shouldn't do, because for us, especially as a coach, we have that safety aspect as well. The players may not like it, and some other coaches may not like it, but we have to put our hands up and say, you know what, we've got to be careful here, or we shouldn't be doing this safety, or it's a danger. And then it's a case of it's down to the organisation, not individuals. That's how I feel about that situation. To be honest with you, mate, it's a tough one. I see both sides of a coin. But I don't like when it's like a tactical withdrawal, as we call it on social media.
Sure.
I don't like a tactical withdrawal. If it's a legitimate withdrawal, then I'm fully on board. And if it's a dangerous situation, again, I'll totally accept it, because no Div 2 team signed up to play the Warriors. No Div 2 team signed up to play Sandwell.
No, I get that. And I mean, a shout out to obviously some of the games that postponed this week. Humber obviously letting Sheffield know early on, and fair play to Sheffield creating a Spotify playlist on with the that was quite fun.
Some guys have got good Twitter accounts. I'm telling you, real good.
Lincolnshire Bombers obviously is
Lincolnshire. Also Chester are pretty good. And Humber are pretty good. They give you a laugh, and it was a good job from Sheffield this weekend to come back with that. Everybody's getting on board with these memes now and stuff.
No, absolutely.
I'm spoiled for that.
Do you think just to point on obviously the volatility from week to week of teams and divisions or whatnot? Do you think we'll finish the season? Obviously, we've got Scotland coming to the fore next week, and they're behind. Well, I say behind. They're behind. Obviously level 0 in terms of restrictions. Do you think as the season as a whole, do you think all divisions will at least get the majority of their games done, or do you see like a division fall by the wayside? Or
I think most will get most of the games done. I think that the trend that's happening right now will continue till the end. But I feel that most teams will play at least probably 3-4 games. And I can't see anybody getting every fixture in. I just don't see it happening.
No.
So I'm sure that everybody will have at least one or two. And I think if you're a bigger name, a bigger team, that you might want to look to get some joint practice with someone later on in the year, because they're not going to get the game time they need, and because it's like our class is the development year. So I've been saying this on Twitter since the beginning of time. So for me, like on Saturday, all of our guys will play. If I didn't do that, then I would be like I'll be a liar. So that's not going to happen. So everybody's going to play, because we are here to develop our players, and I believe in that. But at the same time, if it was a real season and we were in the Premier or they're in League 1. Winning is first and foremost before anything else. And so that's a lot of those Prem teams won't get to play their second and third strings as much as they probably would or should in any other chance or circumstances. So for me, now this is the perfect chance for those teams who have the depth of 2, 3, 4 depth to get on, give everybody a go, and let them play. Let them get filmed, let them get graded out, let the coaches see what they can do. And that's what I like about it. If we all approach it that way, it'd be great. But as I said before, even the Premiership teams, they pay their money, they're allowed to do what they want. And if some games aren't even getting to half time, like the Rev game at the weekend didn't even get to half time. It is what it is, and everybody pays the money, and and I respect anybody that turns up and takes a thumping, because it's not easy.
No, absolutely not. And just a point on, obviously, COVID's not going away. Do you any fears from your perspective, that whether you're coaching or wherever? Do you think that? I posed this to the question to the guy at Darlington, Darren Mitchell from Darlington. Do you have any worries that next season could be 2022 could be the same as 2021, where it's regionalised and COVID still obviously rearing its ugly head? Or how confident, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you think we'll go back to Prem North, Prem South, and all the rest of it?
5, 6.
Yeah.
COVID's not going away anytime soon, dude. And as I said, the more I've been around the team in this past week, the more I can promise you that we're having guys going down constantly. And not because they've got it. There's been no confirmed cases, as far as I'm aware, since the whole season began in Sandwell. But people are getting pinged, and people have been off for 10 days already, but I've got there because they've been pinged. It's a realistic thing, and I don't think that once the floodgates are now open, I can't see how it's going to drop off. It's only going to go up for the next short term. How that affects 2022, I don't know. I hope it's the full season. I hope we get what we can, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we were back in lockdown before the end of August.
Yeah, obviously there'd be to the dismay of teams up and down the country, like I say. But I've spoken to a couple of teams, and they've said that at least one benefit, obviously, you can play your second and third strings on that, but also the cost of travel is dive down unsurmountable amounts. So they really say as well. But I know there is obviously an appetite to try and get back to what is hashtag normal or whatever in 2022. But obviously that remains to be seen. So just a quick word then on Tamathon on Saturday, Coach. How I don't know how to word this. How easy or how hard has it been to try and talk to the players? Obviously, you have your huddles and whatnot. If again, you can't obviously you can't teach it all in a day. You can't teach it all even in a week. But anything that you've tried to get to into the players that they may not have known prior to you coming in, or obviously now I know Stuart's been there.
To be fair, I'm not going to lie. It's definitely a project I wasn't expecting to take on at this point, and it's a project that I am. It's definitely all hands on deck. Zoom is my new best friend.
Yeah.
But take it over, and I hate to take one of the things that I will say on record right now is that I hate to come into a job and take over from somebody else, because as a coach, you never want to see anybody else unless they're leaving of their own accord. You don't want to see anybody get fired or whatever. I spoke to Coach Kent before. He's a good guy. He's a nice man. I've got no issues with it at all. So it's a bit difficult for me to jump in and do this, but from my own perspective, myself and Coach Kent are far different in terms of offensive philosophy and offensive systems. So we've had a good couple of sessions where we've literally changed the entire offense. And so what we did, we've changed everything from signaling to everything to get as many plays in that we can. The guys have been absolutely exceptional, every one of them. And as I said, the offensive personnel there right now is literally 5% from that 2019 team. There's nobody left. Everybody's gone either because it was time to go, or they've chosen not to play, or they've gone on to other teams. So obviously all everybody sees is the Sandwell badge, the Sandwell brand. But in all terms of purposes, it's almost like their second regeneration. Their first time they got to rebuild from within. And so it's gonna be a process that's gonna take a long time, but the plan is to be competitive this year and build to get into the to take that first step in the Prem and survive next season. Nobody's under any impressions they'll be going to go in there and do an amazing. We're realistic and we just want to be the best that we can possibly be. Yeah. But in terms of personal, in terms of taking a job on, definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. And obviously nobody wants to play Tamworth, full stop. And you don't ever want to play them on a week's notice either. There's not a lot you can do. And but we'll give it our best. We'll give it our best try, Coach, and we'll hopefully give a good account of ourselves. Nobody's saying that it's going to be anything other than that. What it is, but we're going to give it a good shot.
Yeah, and as we know, Coach got more than well on this podcast as well, so we know he'll take no prisoners. From your perspective, you wouldn't want it any other way anyway. So yeah, like I say, baptism of fire. Go out and enjoy yourself. Go and see what you got. Go and see what they're made of, and then like I say, if for the benefit of everyone that is into their bit brawl, and maybe anyone that's watching this, so you can watch that on YouTube. It's on Onside Productions on Pride TV. So obviously, David, you won't be watching it from YouTube. You'll be watching it from the sideline. So I look forward to seeing.
I've been enjoying these games from the sideline for a year and a bit now. I'm like, I could have got used to it. I was enjoying that Leicester game, and now all of a sudden I'm like, we'll throw it out there, and we'll throw you in against Jason.
A bit of a closer view from the sideline, getting your feet painted. But yeah, obviously, good luck to you. Obviously, good luck to you and your adventure with Sandwell. Obviously, like I say, not expecting to pull up any trees in week 1, but hopefully, like I say, the guys go out there and give a good account of themselves, and like I say, come back stronger. And like I say, it's all about 2022 and putting the groundwork in now, and then obviously watching that blossom and bloom into when you go into the Prem next season. But yeah, Coach, obviously nice and short and sweet. Obviously, you can see your Twitter handle out there if you want to get in contact with Coach Butler, Coach D Butler. I think I've got that right. Yeah, excellent, cool. I wasn't drunk when I did that. Yeah, obviously, thank you for joining us on short notice. Like I say, really nice to put a face to a name, and obviously, hopefully somewhere down the line, obviously we'll get you and Stuart on and see how the season's going. Obviously, we have the benefit of and the privilege of sponsoring Sandwell for the next year, or the next, I think it was 11 or 10 months now. So obviously, yeah, we're excited for Sandwell. We're big fans of Sandwell. So good luck to you and the rest of the season. Just before we do go, obviously a bit of housekeeping. Another chance for me to boast. Obviously, as you know, anyone that's been watching over the first four weeks of the season, I've been going up against the guys at UK American football scene and the Brit Balling Vodcast. And as you can see, I'm wiping the floor with them. Through 4 weeks, 15 points clear, which is the equivalent of 5 fixtures. But you can see 5 fixtures there. Tamworth and Sandwell is obviously one of the fixtures we have to predict this week as well. So there you go. I won't be giving away what my predictions are, because I don't want anyone copying my answers, although they probably have to go against it. But there we go. Coach, thanks again once for joining us ahead of the preview, and no doubt we'll have you on again soon.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you for everything that you do for our great game. I love to see people and contributors make it, influence doing something for our game. So, love what you do. Keep it up, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks. No, it's great fun. And I say it's always nice to get interaction. Obviously, you can get us out for F10Y Britball on the Twitter. Say if you are watching on YouTube, give us a subscriber. Over 100 subscribers now. So that's always good to see. Yeah. I don't know what a good number is, but it's not going to be an alternative job. Put it that way. But we'll be back next week. There will be. I've mentioned. I chatted to Darren Mitchell, the head coach of the Darlington team. That will be in your feed next week as well. Nice little good chat with him. Another guy passionate about the sport in this country as well. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you are watching this before Sunday, keep your eyes peeled on our main Twitter handle at Full 10 Yards. Big announcement coming on Sunday with regards to something a bit more on the NFL side of things. So everything that we would do, and that will contribute towards the Britball game as well. So keep your eyes peeled on socials for that, and Facebook and all the rest of it, and Instagram and all the bloody social medias that are about. So yeah, thanks again to Coach Butler. We'll be back again next week when we do this all again for the game.